What's going on, guys? It's Rest, and in today's video we're going to be theory crafting, or going back to the way it was before Borderlands 3 launched, and we're going to be taking a look at the skill trees on the website and trying to come up with some new builds that hopefully will be viable come November 10th. Amara's and Flag's new skill trees were just announced, and I have my reactions on the channel if you would like to watch them, but in this video we're going to be focusing all on Amara's new skill tree. Now, disclaimer, all the gameplay you see in this build is not from the beta version. I do not have access, and if that turns you away, I definitely understand, but if not, thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you do enjoy the video, consider subscribing and dropping a like. It's free, and that's what allows me to keep making videos like this for you guys. This is normally the part I would say my builds are in my Discord channel if you would like to download them, but obviously for this one, I cannot say that. But with all that being said, I hope you enjoy the build. Alright, so starting off, the gear you're going to be using for this build is pretty much just any melee style gear. Your psycho stabbers, your face punchers, a level 1 Brawl award, a stinger, just any anointment that increases melee damage. I'm not going to go too much into the gear since this is just a theory crafting build, and we pretty much know the best melee options in the game at this point. So with that being said, I'm going to start in the Brawl skill tree because this is just simple. Everybody knows what the Brawl skill tree does, and this is a melee focused build. It's going to be based all around using a face slam anoint and trying to keep reproccing that over and over again to constantly get tons of melee damage. You can either run two options of URAD or a 309 anoint, whichever one you prefer. Both are going to do very, very well, but if you run URAD, you're obviously going to have to run something to reduce your health. In 309, you can run full health, and that's what I would recommend for this build since we're going to be going in Brawl a lot. So to start in Brawl, we're going to be putting 5 points in Root Terrorizer here just to get a 40% max health increase. This is just a nice health bump, especially paired with some of our new skills that we're going to be running. Then I'm going to have 5 points in Helping Hands to get 40% damage reduction every time we use our Face Slam. And the Face Slam we're going to be using is Fracture because it has a 28-second cooldown. But this honestly doesn't matter with one of our other skills that we're going to get into in a second. But for more of these skills, 5 points in Arm Steal so we get more splash damage, which is actually going to help with one of the new skills, and splash damage reduction, which helps with survivability, which is nice. Now, I'm going to put 5 points in One with Nature so we get more max health and more elemental damage reduction based on whatever axe element we're using. You can now run Cryo, but we're still going to be able to just run all 4 of the elements with this build, so you can run whatever you're getting yourself into. Now, I'm going to put 1 point in Guardian Angel right here just to get a little survivability skill if we need to get up. Hopefully you won't ever have to die with this build, but just in case, I'm putting it in Guardian Angel. Now, I'm also going to put 1 point in Finest Center to buff our melee damage since this is a melee focused build. And then for the last ones, I'm putting 3 points in Mindfulness so we get a little bit more survivability. This is going to help your shield recharge, and you're going to get more movement speed to get in there and melee people. And finally, for the capstone, obviously we're going to be putting a point in Blitz to get 100% more melee damage, and we can dash around and just keep meleeing people over and over again. Now, I'm going to go into Fist of Elements because, again, we kind of already know what we're going to get into right here. The more in-depth stuff is going to be in the new skill tree, and I won't fly through it as fast, but Steady Hands right here, 3 points in it because we need to get down to Illuminated Fist. And then I'll have 2 points in Infusion because I don't really want to take Anima because this kills you more than it helps you out most of the time. So I'm putting just 2 points in Infusion, 1 point in Illuminated Fist to get that melee damage, and then 5 points in Tempest to buff any elemental damage that we're doing even more so we get even better results. Now, you can't take a lure right here. You can kind of run whatever axe augment you want to run, but this is going to give you access to a lure so you can pull people in, and thanks to your melee, you're going to be doing splash damage with one of the new skills. You can probably actually kill them a lot with splash damage. Now, since you're putting points in Fist Elements, like I said, you're going to have access to all 4 of the axe elements: Incinerate, Corrosive, Shock, obviously, and then the new one, which is Cryo. Now, getting into the new skill tree, this is where we're going to slow it down a little bit, and this is where I'm going to go in depth a little more. Before I do that, going back to gear real quick, like I said, you can kind of just run whatever class mods, Muse, breakers, anything you want, just any melee, even a phaser will probably work. Like, anything will work. As I said, this build is very theory crafty, and we're going to have to actually wait to November 10th to actually see what is going to work well with this. But for just a general basis, this should do you well based on whatever melee style gear you choose to run. But with that being said, again, now we're going to go really in depth right here with the new Enlightened Force skill tree. So the first thing we're going to be taking is No Mistakes in Nature. 5 points in this is going to give you a 65% melee damage bonus whenever you apply status effect to an enemy. Now on Amara, it's very easy to apply status effects to people. You're going to pretty much always have this procced. It lasts for 12 seconds. Literally just applying one status effect is going to give you 12 seconds of 65% more melee damage, which is absolutely insane, honestly. The duration that, like, if you can't apply another status effect within 12 seconds to reproc this, I don't know what's actually happening, but this should pretty much always be procced as soon as you get the first status effect, and having 65% bonus melee damage on top of all the other melee damage bonuses you can get from your gear is gonna be absolutely nutty. Now, for the next skill, I'm gonna be putting 3 points in ebb and flow. You definitely do not need this many points in here. 1 point is probably way more than enough once you get everything optimized, but for the sake of this video, since we're just theory crafting, I'm just going to put 3 points in it for now. This is going to give us 63% lifesteal back whenever you kill an enemy with a melee attack. This is pretty much just going to be the knife drain on the skill tree, and you don't have to run a knife drain, so you can run an artifact to give you bonus melee damage or just anything you want to. So your survivability on this build is going to be absolutely crazy with this skill and all your brawl skills just to give you a lot of health. Now, I'm also going to be putting 5 points in Heavy Rain right here. This is going to give you 35% more splash damage on top of what Arms Deal is already doing, and you're going to get more projectile speed. The projectile speed is kind of whatever, but if you're using a splash damage weapon, nice. But this splash damage is going to be very good for one of our later skills to buff your melee damage even more. Now, I'm putting 1 point in Combo Breaker right here. This is going to be an insanely good skill for Amara. Killing an enemy with melee damage has a chance to reset Amara's axe skill cooldown. It's a 20% chance, and you're going to be killing everybody with melee with this build, so you're pretty much always going to have this back. So you can use your Phase Slam to proc your Phase Slam annoyance, then go melee everybody and get your Phase Slam back, and then use your Phase Slam again to go melee people again, and it's just a constant loop. You no longer going to have to run Phase Zerker with a melee build to keep getting your axe skill back to proc these annoyance. You can now, like I said, run things like a Muse or Breaker or just anything you want to, and you're always going to be able to have your Phase Slam up to keep proccing your annoyance over and over again. And it's going to make melee builds absolutely insane. Like I'm telling you, this Combo Breaker skill is going to be a complete game changer. You already see things like Zane having the ability to just constantly keep resetting his axe skill over and over again with ease. This is that skill, but for Amara, and it's going to just make melee just absolutely crazy, and I literally cannot wait to play with this skill. But now to get to the bottom, I'm going to put in a point in Unweave the Rainbow, which we'll get back to in a second, but this is going to let you do bonus damage or whatever your axe skill element is, and it's when you're doing it to a frozen enemy. So the way it works is, if you're doing melee damage or splash damage to frozen enemies, you're basically just getting bonus damage to whatever axe skill element you're using. Like I said, you have access to all 4, but for the sake of this video, we're going to be putting Cryo on because it's a new one, and Cryo Melee is going to be absolutely fun, because if you don't know, if you freeze an enemy and then you melee it with them, you're actually getting 300% more damage to that enemy, and this is just helping out with that even more. But now for the next skill, 5 points in Joyful Freedom, which is giving you 70% more melee damage. So after you use your action skill, Amara gains increased melee damage. So now you have your Phase Slam annoyance giving you 200% more melee damage. This one gave you 70%, and when your Phase Slam hits an enemy, more than likely it's going to apply a status effect to them, which is going to give you 65% more melee damage right here. And as you can see, the melee damage just starts stacking up. Things like 390 annoyance are going to help out with making the melee damage do even more, and then you can just constantly keep resetting your cooldown with Combo Breaker and just having infinite Phase Slams to keep reproccing all these over and over and over again. It is going to be absolutely crazy, and I cannot wait to play this, man. But finally, the next skill is Body and Mind. I'm putting 3 points in this. This is going to let Amara's melee attacks do bonus splash damage whenever you get a kill skill. This is the skill that's going to round everything out. The skill's going to be absolutely crazy. Since this is melee damage, it's going to work with the Face Puncher too. So you can only imagine the stuff that's going to come out with that. But even if you don't use the Face Puncher, your normal melee attacks now do splash damage, which obviously we're going to be getting splash damage bonuses from Heavy Rain. We're going to be getting splash damage bonuses from Unweave the Rainbow, Arms Deal, and we're going to be getting just a lot of splash damage bonuses on top of your melee just already doing a lot of damage. So now you have your melee doing an insane amount of melee damage, an insane amount of splash damage, and an insane amount of elemental damage. You're doing 3 forms of damage with 1 melee, and you're going to be able to just one-shot everybody. Now we have 3 skill points left, and to get down to the bottom, these other skills don't really matter as much, so I'm just going to be putting 2 points in Unweave the Rainbow right here to max it out. This is, like I said, it's going to give you bonus elemental damage if you freeze an enemy, which is nice. You can probably optimize this a little better if you want to, but for the sake of this video, we're just going to put it in here. And then finally, Clear the Mind. Kill skill. After killing an enemy, Amara ignores enemy's elemental damage resistance for a short time. This does not affect elemental immunity. So the biggest thing with melee builds is the fact that if you run something like Illuminated Fist and an Incendiary element and they have a shield, the melee is not going to do that well to a shield and you're not going to be able to one-shot it. But once you have this proc, it's just going to say whatever and ignore that, and you're going to have
a ton of elements, just ignoring all the elemental resistance, and you're only going to be getting the bonuses, and you're going to be able to just one-shot things even better with your melee attack. So this skill is absolutely broken, in my opinion. You literally are just going to be able to kill enemies with whatever they're resisted to, and it is just absolutely crazy. It pairs so well with all your other skills, and it's just, I feel like it's going to break the game, honestly, especially paired with something like Combo Breaker, so you can just keep getting your axe to go back over and over again. Now, obviously, this is just a theory craft. This could absolutely be changed before November 10th. And also, before we even get our hands on it, some of these skills could have certain caps or certain things limiting them to not be as broken as they read. But as a recap, I'm just going to kind of scroll through everything again. Fist of Elements, pretty normal for a standard melee build, same as Brawl, except we're going to be putting some points in arms to get bonus slash damage, which is nice. It's shocking to have a Amara build that has literally 0 points mystical assault. A thing you could do though is run a dragon class mod, so you get the remnant skill, because we're not going to have access to remnant if you want that. But honestly, if you're running Muse, you don't really need remnant. And then Enlightened Force to have all these splash damage, cryo damage, and just melee damage bonuses to round everything out. And this skill is just like, yeah, I'm just going to ignore elemental damages because why not? For a full 8 seconds, and you're going to be able to keep proccing this over and over again. Alright, so that is going to do it for this Theorycraft build. Like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to see more of these before November 10th, definitely let me know. I can for sure make this for every character. Tomorrow will be the announcement for Mose and Zane, so definitely going to be diving into those. Be sure to stick around. I'm going to be posting my breakdowns and reactions to those skill trees as well, and you can definitely expect to see more content all on that. Personally, I think this Amara skill tree is going to be crazy broken, especially once everybody gets their hands on it and starts figuring every little thing out for it. And I cannot wait to play it, man. I know I've said that like 4 or 5 times in this video, but I seriously am just excited to try everything out. But that is going to do all for me. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Prada Bay, run away, don't go. I'm in hell, might as well just go. Losing track, don't take my soul. I'm in